My name's Sabrina Ramonov, and today we're going to be walking through building an AI quote automation system with my guest here, Abdullah. And I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Abdullah. I actually met him a few months ago because he won my vampire security checkpoint game. And I swear to you guys, like when I met him, this was probably late August, right? He did not know anything about workflow automation. Like he was just starting learning. And in a really short period of time, he has become like a master expert combining AI and automation. You guys are going to see what he can build today, what he can automate today. It's absolutely incredible. Abdullah, yeah, please introduce yourself. Let us know a little bit more about you, your background, how you got into all this.
So thank you for the introduction. My name is Abdullah. I live in the Netherlands, so that's why you will hear a Dutch accent. So my business is Adaptive AI, where we automate automations for businesses. It's mainly a B2B solutions, what we are creating. I recently started learning AI automations, and I really think the opportunity to this is like immense.
Nice. And can you share what you're going to walk us through today?
So today I will walk you through a AI automation for a quote system. So basically, whenever a quote comes in, like in a company or through a chatbot, instead of a colleague is going manually creating a quote for the client, the AI automation will create a quote for this client.
Oh, neat. Okay, that'll save a lot of time. And like, I imagine it'll be able to respond to customers during off hours when nobody's there to get back to the customer quickly.
Exactly. I searched on Google, like how long on average it will take to create a quote for a client. And on average, it will take like between 30 to 1.5 hours.
Wow.
So with this AI automation, you can save up a lot of time for a business, and it's very convenient, I guess.
That's great. That's something I've talked previously about. So here in the US, if you can get back to a hot lead within 1 minute, it 4x's your conversion rates because they're already in the purchase mindset. They've already expressed interest in your company. And like the best experience would be for you to get back to them immediately instead of having to wait hours or potentially days. So this is a really awesome use case. And can you share what tools you're going to use to build out this chatbot?
So we are using 3 tools. We are firstly going to use the Voiceflow tool. With Voiceflow, you can create basically AI chatbots. You can deploy this on websites. You can deploy this on WhatsApp, on Instagram DM, Facebook Messenger, and several other tools as well. So it's very convenient.
So does that mean once you build this quote automation system, you can deploy it on all of your social channels and it'll respond to customers on all of your social channels?
Exactly, yes.
Wow, that's huge for businesses.
Yes. Also, you can also deploy it on WhatsApp. So it's extremely convenient. It's one of my favorite tools for creating chatbots. And besides Voiceflow, we are going to use make.com. So on make.com, you can create a lot of automations, a lot of different automations. You can integrate many different tools. And we are going to use make.com to integrate the AI agent, and this AI agent will create the quote and send it through email. So you can already hear we are using several platforms such as OpenAI, an email module, and the webhook module. So basically from Voiceflow, we will get the user's input, so the information, and with that information, we're going to send it through make.com, and the AI on make.com will create the quote and send it through email. And the third tool is, of course, OpenAI. We cannot miss that.
Yeah, so let's dive in.
So let's start on Voiceflow. Voiceflow is a platform where we can create the AI agent, the chatbot, which we can deploy on websites, on WhatsApp, on Instagram DM, and on many more platforms. So if you are logged in on Voiceflow, on the right top corner, you can click on New Agent. So you click on it. And for the sake of the video, I will create a test quote agent. Get started. The URL, it doesn't matter actually for this case. So we will use the URL from Voiceflow. I will delete this in a bit.
Yeah, what does this do and why is it not needed for this use case?
So basically what it does, if you put in your website URL, it will extract all the URLs on your website. So imagine somebody asks like, where can I find the information on your website? And then the chatbot can give the URL from where it finds on your website. So basically, it will extract all the URLs on your website and put it in a knowledge base here. And whenever somebody asks a specific question and it knows it can find in a knowledge base, it will find it here.
So that might be more useful for a sales or customer support chatbot,
Yeah.
but not necessarily for this use case.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay, I will delete this one for now. We don't need it for this tutorial video. These as well.
So those are just samples, right? So we're just
Yeah,
deleting examples. We're just clearing everything out. Okay.
Okay, so whenever you are inside the console of Voiceflow, you will have this display. And on the left, you can find like the contents. So these are the knowledge, workflow, messages, components, and more. The transcripts. So whenever somebody chatted with your chatbot, you can find it here, what they have said and how your chatbot has responded to it. And you can always make some adjustments whenever you see some mistakes. So this is a very nice tool. The analytics, so you can find some analytics on here. So the amounts of interactions, the user sessions, integrations, and settings. So if you click on content, you will see the knowledge, workflows, and messages, and more. And we will be focusing on here. So if you click on knowledge, you can insert here, like I already said, the URLs. So you can insert your own URL from your own website, some other URLs, sitemaps, upload files, and plain text. And basically, whenever you installed a AI chatbot in your agent here, and you give it an instruction that it has to find the information in the knowledge base, then it will find it. It will try and find it here. So you can upload here files, documents, URLs, and much more.
And so for this particular use case for a quote system, the typical company you work with, what would they typically upload?
So most of the times I create also on top of the extra tools, I make sure that all the URLs from the website is inside here with all the information on it as well. So whenever a user asks a specific question, it will try and find the information here in the knowledge base, and it will also give the URL.
Okay, gotcha.
And here you will have the workflow. And the workflow, this is like the part where we're going to work the most for. So workflow, and here you can create literally the flows of the AI agent. So they have already given us a example. I will delete the example here. And basically, if you click on the circle here at start, you will see a plus button. And if you do that, you can choose one of those options here, as you can see. The first one is AI. If you click on AI, you will see the data source is an AI module and the knowledge base. So if you choose the AI module and you give the prompt and somebody asks the agent a question, it will try and find the answer like on the web. Click here on knowledge base. Like I already said, it will try and find the answer in the knowledge bases. And here you can insert the prompt, so how it has to act and more, and how to answer, and the prompt settings. I always go for GPT-4o Mini because it's one of the best and it's the cheapest one as well. I think it's a bit better than GPT-4 and less better than GPT-4o. And if you look at the prices, it's like extremely cheap in comparison to GPT-4 and GPT-4o Mini. And I like this module.
Yeah, definitely. It's my favorite for prototyping.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I will delete this block. And then you'll have the talk blocks, messages, images, cart, and carousel. If you click on messages, it's basically what the chatbot will say when you click on the chatbot. For example, the AI assistant for test company. So let's call our company today Test Company. And if you click on the circle here and connect it to the block, whenever somebody click on start here on the chatbot, it's stuff like this. Hi, I'm the AI assistant for the Test Company. So that's what the message block is doing. It's literally inserting the text you want it says.
And then when you click the play button on the bottom right, that was to preview the agent.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay. The same thing, instead of a message, you can also insert an image, a card, and a carousel. For now, we're going to use the messages. And then we have the most interesting part for me, the listening part. So you can capture the answer from the user on 3 ways: buttons, choice, and capture. If you say buttons, the user will see like the text, like for example here, hi, I am the AI assistant for Test Company, and then underneath the buttons. For example, book a demo, get a quote, get in contact with a real person, for example. So they will see buttons.
So for a company, that means you can have a single chatbot deployed on all of your social channels, and it can perform multiple functions. Exactly. So it can answer sales questions from leads. It can answer support questions from existing customers. It can generate quotes, for example.
Exactly. if I insert here the button, for example, and say get a quote, run it. So I'm going to test it out. Click on the button here underneath, and then you will see a button, as you can see, get a quote. And you can insert here as many as possible buttons as you like. So listen, so buttons, choice, and capture. For capture, if you do that, whatever the user is typing, it will capture it and try with the right trigger, try to categorize what the person is saying and sending them to the right webflow. But I will show it in a moment. Workflow, I mean. Okay. And then you have also logic, the developer side, and library. So in a moment, we will use APIs. But for now, what we are going to create is AI automation for quotes. So what we are going to do is the chatbot will start. Hi, I am the AI assistant for test company. And then we will also insert another message block. And here we are going to say, how can I help you, to make it a bit more organic. And then I will also add another button. I have to click on here. So if you already chose a button, you cannot click here and another button. You have to click on the button already here and click on the plus on here. Contact. Now people can choose get a quote or contact. And sometimes instead of clicking on the buttons, they will type it down. How we are going to capture this? We have to set up a trigger. So you go to intents, create an intent, and say here, get a quote. The description is purely for the AI inside Voiceflow, so it gets more context. So triggers whenever somebody asks for a quote or price. Then we are going to use utterances.
And do you need to define an intent if there's a button they can just click to get a quote?
Not per se if the user only using the buttons, but sometimes the users, instead of clicking on the buttons, they are typing it down.
Okay, so it's important that companies catch all of those different ways that a user might interact with your chatbot.
Exactly. If you don't do this and they click down, like they type it down, for example, what's the price for this service, the chatbot will give you an error if you don't do this. So this is important. So utterances is for the AI inside Voiceflow to make 100% sure it is about getting the price, getting the quote. So we are giving it here some examples. So can I get a quote? You click on generate, and then you can generate like 10 samples. So you can see here some examples, and then you will see here a bar. Now it is 100% full, and you always make sure the bar is 100% full. So the AI assistant 100% knows, okay, somebody asks now about a quote or price, I have to trigger this intent.
So this is pretty neat. So the AI generated all of these examples, but of course you can probably add your own examples and edit these.
Yeah, create intent. So we have created a trigger here as well. The confidence is 100%. So always make sure you put enough examples here. So the bar here is 100%. And we have also the contact. So I will create another intent. And by creating another intent, you have to click on the button on the right top. So new intent. Click on there and we name it contact customer service, for example. Okay, you will see the bar is now 50%. We have to add more. Then I talk to a real person, for example. So now it is 100% full. The confidence bar is 100%. Create intent, and we click here on the small circle. And if you could do that, you can add some actions to it on here and go to intent. So the intent we just created, for this, we firstly need to create a workflow. Workflow get a quote, add here the trigger.
So is it like when Voiceflow detects that intent, then it triggers this particular workflow? Does that happen automatically, or does the user have to configure any of that?
It happens automatically, yes.
Okay.
I will show it in a bit how it works behind the scenes. And I do the same for the contact workflow. Create workflow, trigger contact, which we just created. And okay, I have created a block here so we can choose it in a moment. Okay, now you can also see I turn it on, listen for triggers. So whenever somebody types in, can I get a quote or can I get in touch with somebody from the customer service, it automatically will go to the right workflow.
Okay, gotcha. So you have to toggle listen for other triggers. And then if the user doesn't click one of the predefined buttons, then it'll listen for one of the intents and then kick off the appropriate workflow.
Exactly. Yeah. The contact workflow, we won't use it today because I want to show you how the get a quote automation works. I want to edit here so you can see how the intents and triggers works. So whenever we will ask like, can I get in touch with somebody? It will go to the other workflow, and can I get a quote? It will go to the other workflow. So that's why I add the contact button here. Let's test it and train the agent inside Voiceflow.
And can you explain what's happening here? What is this training?
So basically the steps which we inserted and the new blocks we added, the AI agent's now like checking everything and learning how everything works for now, like the new triggers, etc. So now we're going to test the buttons first, get a quote, and it went to the get a quote workflow. So this works. And now I'm going to type it in. Hey, can I get a quote for the services you offer, for example? Let's see if it knows. It jumped, and we are back again in the get a quote workflow.
That's cool. Yeah, and you can see like the AI model analyzing what the user input was, and then it decides to predict intent, get a quote, and then jumps to that workflow.
Exactly. Yes. So we have set it correctly. So again, I have inserted some messages blocks and then 2 buttons with the right triggers. And if they click on the button, they will go automatically to the block of getting a quote or contact. And if they type it, because the triggers we have installed it knows where it has to go, because we created some triggers. The trigger, you can find it also here, contact, and the get a quote trigger, as you can see. Okay, so in the get a quote workflow, we're going to get some steps. We are going to ask some questions to the user to get as much as possible inputs. And with that input, we are going to send it to make.com. So I'm going to show it here. So the user already asked, like, can I get a quote? We will say, yes, for sure. Let's gather some information to get a accurate price for what we have did. We inserted here a message block. We already typed here a message, and now you have to go to listen and then capture. And here you can capture the reply from the user. So I've created one message block. Let me add another message block. In this case, what I have created for a client last week, the client has a cleaning company, and basically I had some questions for the user. For example, what type of property is it, like office, a garage, whatever the user have said in this question, we have saved it as a new entity. I will show you in a bit what I mean with this. So what kind of property?
This is a really awesome service for local businesses.
Exactly.
I use a lot of local businesses, and it honestly takes a long time for anyone to get back to me, to get a quote, all of these extra steps.
The client last week, he also said, like, normally on a day we get like around 10 to 20 quotes. It's like a huge cleaning company here in the Netherlands, and they are like, in general, they are busy between 30 to 45 minutes on one quote. Wow. With this option, it's like within 5 minutes, the colleague can check the price, and just click on the send button and send the email to the user.
That's amazing. Yeah, that ROI is amazing.
What kind of property? And you can also insert here like some examples like garage, office. For the sake of this tutorial, I just said what kind of property. You can always make the text more professional, of course. For now, I'm just typing it in. And now, instead of buttons, I chose capture. And the user will respond to this question, like, what kind of property? I have a garage or a office or a supermarket. I don't know, for everything. And this reply, we cannot capture it through a button. We don't know what they are going to say. So we are trying to capture the answer through entities. So you click on the capture button, you insert it here, and then you click on entities. You click on the plus, create a new entity. The entity name will be type of building, and this is very cool. Imagine we ask here like a name of an email, and somebody gives us a number, for example. The AI inside Voiceflow knows it is not the right data type we need, so it will ask the question again until it has the right answer. So that's why data type is important. For now, the type of building, we will say just name. But the AI now knows if they give us a number, it's not the type of building. So for this data type, I will call it name, create entity. And basically what we are going to do now is doing the same. We ask a question and I save it as entities. And it's quite repetitive. So if you want, I can copy and paste like what I've previously made and quickly.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. So basically, Abdullah already created that first question, like what type of property is it? And then just to save time, he copy and pasted what he already had in his existing workflow over here. So just so we can have the full flow, but it's the exact same process, right, Abdullah? So basically, like you ask a question and then capture the response, specify what kind of entity it is, and then go to the next question.
Exactly. If somebody asks like, hey, can I get a price? Can I get a quote? We will send them to this workflow where the chatbot will say, yes, for sure. Let's get some information. And it starts asking some questions for them. So what kind of property? Whatever the user is going to say, it will be saved up as type of building. Same thing with how large is the property in square meters. It will save it up M2 square meters. Is it a one-time cleaning? Is it a weekly, monthly, or daily cleaning? We will save it up as frequently. Is there something specific or special requirements? I saved up as special occasions and would name the same thing and type of company and email. What we are going to do right now is to connect Voiceflow with make.com. We are going to do this through a API request. On the dev site, you will see a API. If you click on that, you will get a block.
And real quick, so why do you have to connect it to make.com instead of just calling OpenAI from Voiceflow?
Because if we are going to connect it through make.com, we can also send an email or send an SMS to the colleague, to the quote. So on make.com, you can add modules such as email, such as OpenAI, and many more.
Gotcha. Okay. So we're going to call make.com, which is going to call OpenAI, which technically you can do here. But most importantly, in Make, you can do things like send emails to one of the employees that needs to look over the quotes before it gets approved.
Exactly. So let's go to make.com. You have make.com, you have Zapier. I prefer make.com more than Zapier because I think the visuals are also much easier. I've heard make.com has more integrations as well. So that's why I prefer make.com. So we are on make.com. If you click on new scenario, it will bring you to this display. And like I said, you can add many web apps. So such as OpenAI, email, Airtable, Notions, 11 Labs, Shopify, and many, many more.
So this could even update your internal business system, your CRM, your Shopify, your Google Sheets.
Exactly, yeah. But you also can create, if you understand like the whole Voiceflow and make.com, instead of only creating quotes, you can also make appointments and insert it automatically in the calendar of one of the colleagues. So if a user chats with the chatbot and wants an appointment, the appointment can be set in make.com. So through Voiceflow, for this video, we will create the quote. We are going to connect Voiceflow to make.com. So custom webhook. And we are going to add a new webhook. So test quote 3, for example. Now, if you have added a new webhook, you have a URL. So let's copy the URL and paste that URL inside here. So we have added the API. The block is here right now. And now we are going to add the URL here.
So this is what will connect Voiceflow to make.com.
Exactly, yeah. Now we are going to add the parameters as well. So the parameters are the variables we just created. So type of building, square meters, etc. This information we are going to put in here, the parameters. This information we will send it through make.com. So type of property, let's do it quickly. Type of building plus square meters. Okay, email no. All right, so all the parameters are set.
So basically we're just sending each form input that the user responded over to make.com.
Okay, let's turn this on. Okay, we are going to send the test data to make.com, and if it gives us the number 200, it was successfully. So type of building, office, for example, 4,000 square meters, one time, non-modular test company. Okay, generate 200 means successfully, and if I'm correct, the information you just inserted is sent through make.com.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. Okay. So we are going to continue on make.com. We are going to create a assistant. I've already created this assistant.
And real quick for the viewers, what is an assistant?
If you click the module OpenAI gives you a lot of options, the message assistant, create completion, and many more. So in this case, if we click on message an assistant, basically we are going to the OpenAI dashboard, and there we already trained a assistant with instructions and some files. And in this case, whenever the inputs from Voiceflow comes in, the assistant will get the information, they get the input, and with that input, it will go to the database and search all the older quotes. And with the information in the database and the information we got from the inputs, it will create a accurate price for the customer.
So when would you use an assistant versus just creating a completion, like using the prompt?
It's a very good question. The reason why I'm using here a assistant and later on a completion is because using the completion, you cannot add files. The message an assistant will allow you to insert files. I want to use an assistant because the older cases, I've added a JSON file and give it to the assistant. So that's why.
Okay, perfect. Gotcha.
So message a assistant, and this assistant is already being trained. I will show you in a moment how it looks like. Quote request Sabrina, YouTube video, and then assistant, and the inputs. So input, type of property.
So for those of you not familiar with make.com or workflow automations, all Abdullah is doing is taking the data from the Voiceflow chatbot and what the user responded, and then putting it in here for our call to OpenAI, the ChatGPT assistant, so that it has all the relevant information from the customer who's interested in getting a quote. What he's dragging from left to right here, those are the data points that the user shared when they talk to your chatbot.
Yes. Okay. So let's go to OpenAI, where I show you the assistant products. And instead of going to, we have to go to API login.
For folks not super familiar, do they have to do anything special to be able to access creating an assistant?
No. I think everyone can use the OpenAI dashboard. Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a different login that they have to go to. Look for API login at the top.
Exactly. Yeah. So here you have some products from OpenAI, assistants, batches, evaluations, and more fine-tuning. We have to go to assistants. This is the assistant. We have given a instruction. It will basically get the inputs. With that input, it will calculate accurate price based on the historical data from the document, from the previous document. And the document we have inserted in here. So if you go to tools, you can click on the plus button and add files here. And we have added a JSON file with all the historical data. And why JSON file is because when I was testing out many type of documents, I noticed JSON files, the information it retrieved was more accurate than a CSV file, a PDF file. I was creating a AI chatbot for influencers. And whenever I was using a PDF file as a knowledge base or CSV file and a JSON file, whenever I was using a PDF or CSV file and I asked what's the most recent video, it gave me like a video from 2 months ago or 1 year. But when I was using JSON, it was always, most of the times it was accurate. Not always, but most of the times it was accurate.
And as a side note, a chatbot for influencers sounds very useful.
Maybe it's nice for the next video. Okay. To highlight everything, the purpose, it will calculate a price based on the historical data from the document of previous quotes. The document I just added here, the documenting the price reasoning for internal use and generating a quote in HTML format for the prospect. I will explain later why HTML format. So basically, we will get one output where it gives us the reasoning of the price and a HTML format for the email.
For those people who haven't built an AI assistant before, do you have any general tips or advice for how to format these system instructions, what information to include in it?
So in the first case, when you are going to create instructions, always make sure what role it has, tell it what it has to do. And I recommend you always give it some examples. It's very important. So give a output example so the AI knows what response it has to give it to you. So my biggest advice is always be clear and give it some examples as well to make sure the assistant gives you the best output.
Okay, so just to recap, so the role, the examples, and then you mentioned earlier the JSON, the structured format often works better than unstructured PDF.
Exactly, yeah. So, okay, this is the assistant. Here are the instructions, and here's the file, the JSON file. We are going back to make.com and resend it. I have to turn it on. So save it. Let's test it out. Resend the information. And now it is going to turn on correctly. Use existing data. Now the information, it just received the information again because we resended the data from Voiceflow. And with this data, we have sent it to the assistant, and the assistant just gave us a result. So if you click here, if you click on this button and you click on results, you will see here the reasoning of the price. And the reasoning we are going to send to one of the colleagues, so it knows why it gives us this price. And in HTML format, it gives us the HTML email, which we are going to send to the prospect. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to copy and paste the automation I did previously, and one by one, I will show it what I did. What we just did, we got the information from Voiceflow here, and the information from Voiceflow, we are going to send to the assistant, which we have trained. We gave it the instructions and the file, and with that, it will generate one result. And the result was already this. It gives us the reasoning, and in HTML format, it gives us this email. This is in create completion. The reason why I chose this, because I don't need to insert any files. So it will receive the result from the previous module. This is the input, and I only need the HTML format, the email. So it will extract, it will get the response from the module before, and it will give us only the HTML format. So it will only give us this in HTML. Okay, and then what will happen here? We will send to one of the colleagues the result from the first OpenAI module, and the colleague can check the email and also the reasoning why. And with this email, he gets notified that a draft is ready to send.
That's awesome. That'll save so much time.
Yes, and I did it for the sake of this video. I chose an email, but you can also choose a WhatsApp module. You can also choose a Slack. So you can send a message, like you can send an SMS, you can send a WhatsApp message or Discord message, whatever you like, to notify one of the colleagues that a draft is ready, and they can also check in the same SMS or WhatsApp message, or in this case, the email, the reasoning why this price. And here we created a draft. So in that same email account from the colleague, it will know, okay, there's a draft ready, it can check it, and if they want, they can adjust the price. And for them, it's only click send, and that's it.
It's awesome. That reduces everything to like just a couple minutes. Super easy.
Exactly, yeah. So let's test it out. Let's turn it here. Save changes. Cool. Let's go to one of my emails. Let's go to Voiceflow.
So now we're going to test the entire flow from the very beginning.
Yeah. Train the agent again. This takes like 15 seconds. Click run test. Now you can get quote for your service.
So we're starting from the very beginning. This is cool.
Yes. Now it will send us to the workflow from get a quote. Now you can see literally what will happen here. What kind of property? Office. So we'll go to the next block. How large is a property in square meters? Let's say 4,000 square meters. And here I also, in a data point, I said they have to give us a number. Imagine I gave here a name. The AI agent will ask the same question again until we give it a number.
That's great. Yeah, just to make sure the data is clean before you try to generate a quote.
Exactly. Let's say here weekly, yes, nothing specific. Okay, no special occasions. So I inserted my name. Which company? Test company. What's your email? Abdullah. Now it will send all the data to make.com, and it's already being sent.
That's awesome.
You can see type of property, office, square meters, 4,000 square meters. Frequency is just regularly. Special occasions, none. Abdullah Yahya, test company, and my email. It's giving us now a reasoning and email format in HTML. So the reasoning, price reasoning, and the format in HTML. And this one will only give us the HTML. Perfect. And now if I go to my email, you can see.
Oh, nice.
An email comes in, new quote request for Abdullah Yahya, test company.
Yeah, that was just now 0 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yes. And the draft. So
I like how it formatted it too in a table, so it's really easy for the client to read.
Exactly. Look, the reason why I chose HTML, there Abdullah Yahya, enter, thank you, enter. and it gives us a table. And if it's not, it will give you like in one big block, as you can see. Maybe the OpenAI will give it to you in like with enters and nicely formatted. But whenever you use that output from OpenAI inside email module, the email module will just give you one big block, and that's why I always choose HTML. That's why.
So that previous email you were showing us, that top block is what you would get if you didn't format it
Exactly.
in HTML. Okay, so that top is not what you want, but you're just showing it to compare there.
Yeah. So this is what you will get. Somebody will use a chatbot, insert all the information, and the automation on make.com will create a draft quote for you and send it to one of the colleagues and create a draft to send it out directly to one of the customers.
That's awesome. I mean, this saves so much time for small businesses. So thank you so much for walking through this. I'm really impressed you did this all live. Oh, anything else you want to show or talk about before we wrap up?
The reason why I chose actually this automation is because you can see how Voiceflow works, how you can set up a simple agent on Voiceflow and connect Voiceflow to make.com. Make.com, you can create an automation with different platforms such as OpenAI, the email, and many other platforms if you want. So in this case, I used the email module to send a notification to one of the colleagues. If you want, you can also send an SMS, send a WhatsApp, Slack message to notify there's a draft ready to be sent to one of the prospects. And I hope this will inspire a lot of people to create nice automations on make.com, Voiceflow, or combine those two platforms together, how I did it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible what you did in like, it's only been an hour, right? And a lot of that was just talking through it rather than pure building. Really amazing. Thank you for walking us through it from the very beginning and explaining each step. I think a lot of people, especially small businesses, may not even realize they can do this today just by piecing together certain tools. And I really hope this kind of spreads awareness of what's possible, what you can do today with AI and automation.
Yeah, exactly.
So thanks for joining. Can you tell us where viewers can find out more about you? If they want to work with you, where can they go? How can they reach you?
So they can reach me on LinkedIn. I will also create a school community. The first 100 people will be completely for free.
I want my free spot.
So your followers will get the first notification, the school community, to learn more about AI automation. And if businesses are interested in creating automations for their business, contact me on LinkedIn. The link is down below.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for joining me, Abdullah. This was amazing. 100% automated system where your customers can just interact with a chatbot across all of your social media channels to generate a quote. A draft goes out to one person on your team to just check everything. And then boom, in just a few minutes, your customer gets a super detailed, accurate quote request. And you look like a super professional business and you increase your conversion rate by 400%. So this is a super obvious use case for small businesses. If you don't already have something like this, you should absolutely get on it. And yes, Abdullah's contact information is below if you need, more hands-on guidance and want to work with him specifically.